I learned the hard way. Long story, but I hope it helps someone and helps me get it out of my head. Me, 64 male, and my ex-wife, 65 female, were married for 20 years. There are no children. We divorced 8 years ago. We both work as professionals. I've been in business for over 35 years and helped her start 6 different businesses while we were together, none of which were successful or lasted long. She struggled with paperwork, which was critical to her business, and she believed she was more accomplished than she was due to a lack of experience. I had previously been divorced, and she had never married. I was divorced once and had a daughter. At the end of our marriage, my first wife accused me of cheating, which I never did. I believe she was simply looking for useful information. She stated that she was going to meet with someone who possessed all of the dirt. I told her it was fine because I wanted to see what I was doing because I wasn't having any fun at the time. She never found anything, and the supposed source of the information never appeared. We began dating while she was finishing her master's degree. I paid off all of her student loans. We both have ADHD, which we manage with medication. Hers is more severe, and she takes several medications, whereas I only take one. She was a lot of fun, beautiful, intelligent, quick to anger, and histrionic, always wanting attention. I am more laid-back, easygoing, non-confrontational but not shy, and a natural jokester. I do have flaws, such as some procrastination, and despite being very manly, I am not an alpha male. I try to please, but I've also learned to set limits. I didn't want to get married again, but after 3 years of dating, she insisted that if we were to stay together, we had to get married. I didn't get a prenup, and she refused to sign one red flag. It was my fault. By the time we met, I had been running a successful business for over 10 years. We were happy for years and bought a house together. We had friends, despite the fact that I don't have many close individual friends and am a bit of a loner and a workaholic by nature. She had a lot of friends, but they were mostly passing through red flag. It took a few dates before there was any intimacy because she wanted to take it slow, but she also told me she had S*X quickly, red flag, and had been cheated on before, big red flag. S*X was fantastic for both of us. I had to be the catalyst. It was simple if we were regular. If there was a long period of time between dates, such as a few days, I had to romance her extra and warm her up to get her going. Likewise, as with the rest of the relationship, I was responsible for at least 80% of the work. She knew I would never cheat on her and even boasted to everyone that her husband would never cheat. On Valentine's Day, she called into a radio talk show that was bashing men and stated that her husband would never cheat. She was pricey because of her medications, insurance, and taste for finer things. She also enjoyed taking various CE classes and seminars to learn about new aspects of her profession. They were usually very expensive, and she almost never got a return on investment with any of the businesses she started. I was starting and running businesses for her, which was costly. They were never successful because she couldn't do the paperwork required for her job. She spent a year training in a city 100 miles away and a 6-month stint training in another state. Both times, I was in need of a place to live, etc. She would attend training seminars over the course of a weekend or a week, sometimes locally and sometimes across state lines. I don't think she used to cheat on most of these, but I'm not sure. One of the last ones I paid for was in Florida, and she needed to get her bathing suit waxed, which she had never done before, red flag. I'm not sure if she cheated on trips, but if she did, it was most likely with someone she picked up on her 50th birthday. She had a party and said she invited some female friends to our house for a weekend party. Because it was a girls-only party, I had to stay away and book a motel room. She insisted that I leave or she would become enraged. Perhaps a red flag. By the middle of the marriage, she had decided she no longer wanted to work. She simply desired to remain at home and garden. That was around the time the economy crashed, and making ends meet was difficult. I worked long hours to support us, which irritated her because she was bored at home all day. I was tired and didn't interact with her enough when I got home. She admitted that she was a bit of a princess who liked to have things given to her and done for her. I did all of my own laundry and cooked a lot of my own meals. Everything in the house was fixed by me. I am very skilled in a wide range of repair and improvement situations. I even remodeled a glassed-in room in our house to serve as her office. I was very patient with her because she was constantly criticizing me throughout the remodel. She didn't think I'd be able to do it, and that it wouldn't look good when I was finished. She reluctantly said it looked great when it was finished. She wanted a break and wanted me to leave at one point. I bought a used camper and parked it on the business property. I was there for several weeks. When I went to her house to help her with something, I slipped on the ice as I was leaving and suffered a concussion. She forced me to stay and looked after me. We began talking and I returned. With the economy being tight and her unwillingness to work, I became more quiet and reserved. I was working hard, but we were falling behind on bills and she wasn't helping. For 2 years, the bedroom was silent, and if I tried to initiate, she claimed she would become anxious and shut down. We'd been going to PC for years, mostly for me to get the medication I needed, and she'd always gone for meds and other things. She initially believed she was molested as a child, but a therapist convinced her otherwise, and it never happened. She had been telling her parents for years that she had been molested as a baby, but she wasn't, and she finally admitted it. She has 3 younger sisters. One is a few years older and has been in and out of mental institutions. One is a few years younger and has had difficulty finding work. And a third is a few years younger and appears to have the mentality of a grade school-age child and lives with an older woman. All of the siblings are dealing with mental health issues. We started MC, which helped a little, but the main issues remained. Her refusal to work to assist with finances and my resentment. At the MC, she began to me, saying that we needed to divorce. I finally had enough and announced that we were divorcing. I am strongly opposed to divorce, but there was no other option. I realize now that I took on blame for many of her unjustified accusations because I was a wimp and in pain. She was very good at making almost any negative situation appear to be my fault. I am someone who accepts accountability for my actions and deeds. It's all too easy with her when it's not my fault. I advocated for myself on occasion, but not nearly enough. What I didn't realize was that she later began arranging the circumstances so that she could get the most out of the divorce. I wish I'd discovered Reddit while all of this was going on. I handled the divorce poorly. She purposefully did not work for the last year of her marriage and claimed mental incapacity in order to get the best settlement possible. That way, her alimony payments could be maximized. Because we live in a no-fault state, the affair had no bearing. I have to pay her far too much, even though, as the accountant pointed out, it is half the cost of living with her on a monthly basis. It still hurts every month and depletes my retirement and savings. We started sleeping in separate rooms about 15 years into our marriage and had separate landlines. She needed one for one of her imaginary businesses, as well as cell phones. When the phone rang one night, I went into the living room to answer it. I receive emergency calls. I accidentally picked up one of her landline phones, sleepy and confused, and overheard her and AP having phone S**X. I was taken aback and slowly put down the phone. I went to my room to think about what to do. I could have stormed into her room and confronted her, but instead I decided to try to record the calls as evidence. I didn't sleep that night or for several nights afterwards. I installed a recorder on her line, but it made a clicking sound when you picked up the receiver, so she began using her cell phone exclusively. I had no idea about VAR, hidden cameras, or cell phone apps for tracking and listening at the time. When she heard the click on her landline, she decided to abandon it in favor of her cell phone. I went to use her Mac computer a few days later to try to open a storage drive that wouldn't open on my PC. She went for a walk. When I lifted the lid, a naked image of her appeared. I started looking, and she and AP were exchanging naked pictures. I had asked her several times during the marriage to take a naked picture of her, but she flatly refused, stating that she would never allow such a picture to be taken of her. I brought my laptop to work and downloaded the photos and emails. I returned home and gave her the laptop. She assumed she had misplaced it somewhere. Because of her ADHD, she was constantly misplacing keys and other items. I informed her that I had discovered the photographs. She became enraged and claimed that I had violated her privacy by using the laptop I had purchased for her. She was going to come after me for it. When she asked if I had copied anything, I pretended to be stupid and said I didn't know how to do so on a MacBook. She threatened to confiscate any copies I had made. When she calmed down, I asked how she could send those photos to someone when she had refused to let me take them for years. She stated that it was none of my concern. I asked her if she was having with AP and she confirmed it. "So you're cheating on me, which you swore you'd never do." She stated that she was not cheating. I asked her what she called it, but she didn't know. I was furious and kept asking how she could send those photos over the internet, which could easily be pirated. After having refused me for so long, she remained silent. She then claimed that I cheated first because I had been watching porn after we had stopped having S**X more than 2 years before. I previously stated that porn was not the same as PA. She said it was, so I asked her what she would think if we asked each of our parents which was worse. She didn't respond. She eventually got up and left. Later, I discovered she went to a neighbor and told him I was threatening to physically abuse him. I wasn't, but I should have had a camera recording to help prove my innocence if the situation arose. She asked me to leave the house, but I refused because I had done nothing wrong. She went to a friend's house and then rented a place to live until we divorced. I became depressed and couldn't eat or do anything except work, sleep, and cry. When she saw me a few weeks later, she said I looked great because I had lost so much weight. We'd both put on weight over the years. I didn't mind that she gained a lot of weight. I always told her she was lovely, and she was. Despite the fact that I told her numerous times, she would strut naked in front of me and ask if she was beautiful, to which I would say yes and lavishly compliment her. She needed reassurance all the time. She later apologized for the photos and asked me to forgive her before rubbing up against me. It was difficult, but I told myself that maybe someday, but not now. She was dissatisfied. She has a narcissistic personality. A few days later, she was furious and told me I ruined her relationship with AP because when she told him I had photos of him, he became enraged and broke it off. I didn't mind. She screwed me over for alimony. She had arranged for the situation to be handled by her lawyer, come to find out the only one that would work with her because everyone else refused because they thought she was crazy. I was able to keep my company, but I had to refinance the house in my name. I also had to pay her outstanding bills, which were substantial, as well as her lawyer. If she can now go find a sugar daddy. I was probably one of the few men who had the patience and naivete to put up with her for a long time. She's not going to try to return. She knows I'm not going to take her back. She noticed the look on my face after meeting the ex's new fiancé once when I was picking up my daughter from my first marriage. She later inquired as to what I was thinking when I turned away to load my daughter's suitcase into the vehicle. I told her I was thinking about the fiancé and said, I wrote her parents a letter outlining what she had done while also thanking them for being wonderful in-laws. We had always gotten along and liked each other. I asked them to look after her because she needed their help. Except for having to pay alimony, she has moved back to her parents' house several states away, and I have ghosted her. She had stated that she wanted the house but later changed her mind. I asked why, and she explained that she was returning to her parents because everyone in our town loved me, due to my profession, but very few knew her. That wasn't my fault, I told her. I made numerous errors by not paying close enough attention to what my ex was doing and by being overly trusting. It has cost me money and I am still paying for it. Everyone should pay attention if their relationship appears to have deteriorated because you could be ruined like I was. Always get a prenuptial agreement for the sake of both partners. I'm doing much better now. I'm not dating, but I have female friends with whom I socialize, and I'm perfectly content doing what I want when I want. My psychiatrist initially thought I should date and pushed me hard to do so, but now he says I'm the happiest he's seen me in years and that I should keep doing what I'm doing.